Así me gusta que estén. Así me gusta que estén bien confiaditos y que hablen y todo. Me gusta romperles el hocico cuando hablan así.
After entering the fight week, the drama seems to have escalated between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga, as Canelo has just vowed to destroy the young fighter's career. Meanwhile, not intimidated in the least, Edgar seems to be buzzing with confidence that he will be the one who will eventually triumph in the bout regardless of the onslaught of negative comments and hate directed his way. To express his seriousness in this matter, during his recent interview with DAZN, Edgar revealed that alongside vigorous training sessions, he has also been meticulously observing tapes of Canelo's previous fights to get a better look at the skills his opponent possesses. Edgar stated, "I'm really studying him every day, like I'm watching all his fights, all his moves, everything. I'm watching everything because it is the biggest fight of my life, and I want to win. I know that it's not a payday fight, and he also knows that it's not a payday fight." Edgar also addressed his mental state leading up to the fight, stating how at this stage he has become immune to such negativity, especially considering how he has been dealing with brutal criticisms from the majority of the boxing industry since the fight was announced. Looking resilient, Edgar stated that he will make sure that he does not let such statements have an impact on him on the fateful night of the event.
Everybody on his side, I only had like a small table, so I'm like, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these people, because at the end of the day, they all want me to lose, so I don't give a you know what I'm saying? I just get on my bullet. I just get on my regular, regular New York, swag, how I get, you know what I'm saying? When I feel, but in New York, I'm in my other man, you know what I'm saying?
The main point that Edgar tried to highlight here is the tremendous disappointment and anger that the fans directed towards the Puerto Rican after it was announced that instead of fighting other notable adversaries like David Benavidez and Terence Crawford, Canelo is opting for a relatively easy opponent just so he can maintain a certain image. Matters were made worse when Edgar tried to signify the importance of the bout in his countless absurd social media posts, stating how this attitude from the fans is disrespectful towards him as a fighter. On the other hand, surprisingly in the same interview, Edgar praised Canelo for the sheer impact that he has had on the sport so far, due to his unparalleled skill set and overall charisma, which according to Berlanga is commendable and a dream for any fighter. Keeping these in mind, Edgar emphasized how he has to take this fight more seriously than his previous ones. Edgar stated, "I got respect for you as a fighter because you went out there and you did your thing and you became a legend. If you retire tomorrow, you're going to be a legend in the sport. You will be considered one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time, so you got to give him that. But by the end of the day, bro, September 14th is a big day for me." Initially known for his brute strength, which led to quick knockouts in his early career, Edgar Berlanga now understands that his jab will be pivotal in his upcoming match against Canelo Alvarez. In a recent interview, Berlanga highlighted the jab as the key to victory, explaining that it's essential for setting up powerful punches, especially against a skilled opponent like Canelo. He emphasized that relying solely on raw power would be a fatal mistake, as Canelo is adept at anticipating and countering such attacks. Berlanga stressed the importance of a strategic approach, discipline, and smart in-ring tactics to overcome Canelo's formidable defense.
There's going to be our breadwinner right here, the jab, for this fight September 14th. To land a big punch, you got to set it up. Guys like him at that level, you can't go out there and just try to, just throw bombs. And he's going to see it. He's going to execute on that, so it's about setting up, and being smart in that ring and having good discipline.
Berlanga lauded Canelo's exceptional ring intelligence and defensive prowess, labeling them as crazy and great. However, he insisted that his own powerful punches will remain a significant factor. Berlanga observed that Canelo respects those who respect him in the ring, noting that a mere tap would be easily countered by Canelo's superior strength. Berlanga approached the fight with unwavering determination, viewing it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance that he must capitalize on.
It goes off respect too, right? So if I'm over here, pity-patting him, he's gonna walk right through. I'm coming to fight, man.
Right.
Like it's balls to the walls for me. You know what I'm saying? This is the opportunity of a lifetime that I have to grasp towards this, and this is not I'm not trying to do this like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Get this opportunity one time. Like I want to do this. I
Get
want
the
to
bag
have.
and run. Yeah.
I want to have
want to
numerous times of sitting with you and at this caliber, at this high level.
Without a doubt, this represents the most significant opportunity and the greatest challenge Berlanga has faced. Following his impressive knockout streak, Berlanga secured 5 consecutive decision victories as he began facing tougher opponents: Demon Nicholson, Marcelo Contreras, Steve Rolls, Romer Alexis Angelo, and Jason Quigley. In his most recent bout, Berlanga delivered a knockout blow to Padraig McCrory in the 6th round. Canelo is no stranger to this level of competition. Berlanga must seize this opportunity to make the most of his time in the spotlight, setting himself up for future returns to this prestigious stage. Berlanga acknowledged that Canelo is a legend who has faced the best in the sport, but he stressed the importance of minimizing mistakes in their upcoming fight. He pointed out that even legends make mistakes, and Canelo can't afford to slip up either. Berlanga described himself as just as dangerous as Canelo, emphasizing the need to avoid mistakes that Canelo might try to exploit on September 14th. He added that they are focused on keeping potential vulnerabilities closed, recognizing Canelo's experience in the ring.
He's a legend. He's been in there with the best. So we have to minimize our mistakes. Legends make mistakes too, 1,000%. He can't slip up either, because I'm a guy that I'm dangerous. You know, just like he's dangerous, I'm dangerous too. You know, but with us, we're minimizing a lot of mistakes that could happen September 14th, where he could try to execute on it, you know what I'm saying? And we have to limit those open doors and keep them shut, you know, and keep them thinking and keep them going, because at the end of the day, he's been in there with the best, you know?
However, Oscar De La Hoya believes Canelo's star power is set to take a serious hit. The former fighter-turned-promoter played a pivotal role in shaping much of Canelo's career until a contentious split and ensuing legal battle created a rift. Even now, the two, especially De La Hoya, continue to exchange barbs through the media. De La Hoya has recently criticized the pound-for-pound champion for his choice of opponents. He believes that Canelo, who currently holds 3 out of the 4 major super middleweight titles, is dodging a fight with David Benavidez and instead opting for a softer challenge in the top contender Edgar Berlanga. He said, "Okay, so we're a week away from the boxing match that nobody asked for and the UFC event that everybody will be watching. Canelo's fighting Berlanga. Another snooze fest. They're trying to sell a pay-per-view for $90 at $500 minimum in person? It's just robbery at this point. To pay for another lame Canelo fight that will go the distance against a subpar opponent." De La Hoya forecasted that the upcoming event, which will clash with the UFC's showcase at the Sphere, is likely to fall short of 100,000 pay-per-view buys. This would mark a notable departure for Canelo, who has consistently exceeded 500,000 buys and has even surpassed the million mark on several occasions. He said, "I'm the PPV king, and the Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga fight will not exceed 100K homes. Nobody is paying $90 for this snooze fest." Just speaking the facts as always. While many boxing trainers focus solely on recent fight footage to strategize for an upcoming bout, Edgar Berlanga's trainer believes that preparing to face Canelo requires a much broader approach. You got to look at all of them, because if you concentrate on the last 3 fights, then you're a fool, right? Because you don't know what he's going to bring. Mark Farrett told YSM Sports Media, in his last 3 bouts, Canelo Alvarez secured decisive victories with unanimous decisions over John Ryder in May 2023, Jermell Charlo in September 2023, and Jaime Munguia this past May. He's a great fighter. He's a legend. You can prepare for the way he fought Charlo, the way he fought Munguia, and then he'll give you something totally different, Farrett said. He further added, "You just gotta be ready for any surprises. You just prepare for a little bit of a mixture of everything." Gennady Golovkin, whom Canelo fought in 2017, 2018, and 2022. See what he did with Floyd Mayweather, whom Canelo fought in 2013. Everything together, man. You got to look at his body of work, so that's what we've been doing. Adding further insult to injury, Oscar declared that due to these poor choices made by the promoters and the fighters themselves, the majority of the fight fans seem to be more interested in the UFC 306 event that will be taking place on the same date at a different location at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Oscar then went on to blast Canelo for his choice of opponents like Berlanga, who are not only mediocre when it comes to their attributes, but according to Oscar are also not fun to watch for the audience.
We're a week away from the boxing match that nobody asked for, right? And the UFC event that everybody will be watching. Canelo's fighting Berlanga, another snooze fest. They're trying to sell a pay-per-view for $90 at $500 minimum in person? It's just robbery at this point to pay for another lame Canelo fight that always goes the distance against a subpar opponent. I'll actually be attending the UFC event at the Sphere instead.
Despite some truth to these comments, Edgar seems to have gotten triggered by them, as right after these statements were issued by Oscar, the young fighter took to his Twitter to blast the veteran fighter for such rude and ignorant comments. Edgar wrote, "How can a scumbag like Oscar hate on me in the event? You are somebody a lot of fighters looked up to. You are a f***ing wanker." When it comes to the possibility of 2 fighting events of this caliber taking place at the same time in the same city, it is quite a rare occurrence and can be linked with the involvement of His Excellency Turki Alalshik, who allegedly, according to countless reports, decided to aid Dana White in making the UFC event at the Sphere to prove a point during his ongoing beef with Canelo and to show the Mexican fighter that due to his stubbornness to cooperate, he might be losing a chance at making a tremendous profit. Canelo, however, seems to pay no heed to these tactics meant to derail him in his upcoming bout. During his recent interview, Canelo stated how he has never been a fighter who has shied away from trying different things and going after different varieties of opponents no matter the backlash. Trying to justify his choice of choosing Berlanga as an opponent, Canelo emphasized that though many people tend to undermine the Puerto Rican, he is an exceptional fighter with tremendous power.
I fight everybody, and no matter what they say something, so I don't really care.
What makes him dangerous in the ring?
He's strong. He's strong and he's fast, especially in the beginning of the fight. He's big for the weight class, but nothing new for me.
Being excited about this opportunity and looking confident that he will remain the reigning king, Canelo appeared almost elated at the fact that Berlanga is taking this fight seriously and has been sending threats and warnings, which in turn seems to be a great motivation for Canelo. He stated, "I like them like that. Opponents who talk a lot of shit. I like them to be confident and do a lot of talking. I like breaking their face when they talk like that. I'm eagerly awaiting that day. It'll be the beatdown of his life." Aware of the significance of the fight night being on the Mexican Independence Day week, Canelo expressed his enthusiasm regarding this event, stating how he will make sure that he displays an extravagant show for his fans who are coming to Las Vegas to witness this historic moment for him. Canelo stated, "I'm going to show you how good I am on September 14th. You're going to see, and don't worry, you are going to experience something different." Alongside making such bold claims, Canelo also seems to be busy with excruciating training sessions to take his skills up step further, especially considering how this fight has the potential of changing the trajectory of his career, as a defeat in this case will not only make him appear bad to his fellow competitors and boxing experts, but will also possibly snatch away the chance of fight with the victor of the upcoming Bivol versus Beterbiev, which Canelo has been eyeing for quite some time. Keeping these major factors in mind, the 34-year-old world champion has been seen in the gym for countless hours, preparing for any particular move that can be employed by Berlanga during their bout. Renowned for his immaculate hooks and boxing IQ, many experts and analysts believe that there are only a few boxers who can compete head-on-head with him, as all those who claim to have the ability to withstand his vicious attacks are usually beaten down even before reaching 8 rounds. Meanwhile, with only a few days left in the fight, many experts and boxing analysts have shared their opinions about how this fight will most probably turn out and who will be declared the winner. Roy Jones Jr., who is a former professional fighter and world champion in 4 weight classes, thinks that the winner will be Canelo only if Berlanga does not take a stand against the Mexican fighter and does not try to push him off in the earlier rounds. Despite the majority of the industry not being keen on this fight, Roy stated that, like every other fight in boxing, this too has the potential of becoming a great fight only if the fighters show passion and enthusiasm about it. Roy stated, "Edgar Berlanga is going to have to go out there right away and see if can he hurt Canelo, which I have never seen Canelo getting hurt in a fight myself that I knew of." He added, "If he, Berlanga, can take the onslaught and return it, then we got ourselves a great fight. If he can't take the onslaught, then we got ourselves a fight that's going to be good for 3 rounds and it's going to be over." Roy, who has not only shown his prowess as an exceptional fighter, is also an excellent coach, which is another factor that adds importance to the in-depth analysis that he presents about potential bouts. In this case, Roy gave some helpful advice to Berlanga, which might help in withstanding Canelo's ruthless attacks. The main strategy that Roy highlighted was that it is not possible to take on Canelo while he is throwing punches and his classic hooks, so the best move will be to force him to go toward a more defensive approach, which will reduce the chances of him using any of his lethal attacks.
So, you know to look out for the left hooks to the head and to the body, but Canelo also throws pretty good overhand right and a straight right hand. So you can't really tell him to look out for nothing particularly from Canelo. What you tell him is to go out there and put Canelo on the defense and use your feints and keep Canelo on the defense. Don't let Canelo put you on the defense, because if he does, you're going to be in for a short night.
Another aspect that Roy talked about in his interview is the possible future fights that Canelo might opt for after getting this win, with the most prominent one being the much-anticipated battle with David Benavidez, who, according to Roy, Canelo seems to be ducking for a long time because he knows that he is not capable enough to withstand the formidable punches of Benavidez, which are famous for their ability of pummeling the opponent till they drop down. Roy commented, David throws a lot of punches. He is someone who we haven't really seen hurt yet, who has a very good gas tank, and who's big for the weight class. Everything Canelo doesn't want to see David Benavidez is that. Being on the same page as his fighting expert, Bernard Hopkins thinks that this fight will be a huge spectacle that will be talked about for quite some time. While talking about the younger fighter, Bernard stated that even though he seems to be at a clear disadvantage against a beast like Canelo and is being considered a significant underdog, it would still be disrespectful to completely disregard him as an opponent, because if he utilizes a properly crafted game plan, then he might have a chance. Regardless of this confidence boost, according to Bernard, Canelo will win this fight most probably in the earlier rounds with an intriguing knockout, which will not only further cement his legacy as the greatest fighter of this era, but it will also open doors for him to make certain demands which might not have been possible in case of a loss. Bernard stated, Canelo gets the knockout within 6 or 7 rounds. I'm going with Canelo. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Anything can happen, right? But if you ask me who I'm going for, if I have to put money down, Canelo all day. Sean Zittel, who is a prominent boxing analyst and reporter, also believes that Canelo will triumph in this bout with a striking knockout, which will be the first knockout victory for him since his fight with Caleb Plant way back in 2021, and will provide the fighter with an excellent chance of shutting off his critics who claim that with age, Canelo has lost the spark that he once had. He stated, I do think Canelo is going to win this fight by knockout, and it'll be the first knockout he'll have since Caleb Plant, and I do think it'll come in brutal fashion. However, Sean also believes that undermining Berlanga can result in a shocking upset for Canelo, because even though the young Puerto Rican fighter still has a lot to achieve, he appears to be in the best shape of his career and seems to have the resolute mindset, which is something that can prove to be quite dangerous if it is properly used inside the ring. Sean stated, Berlanga keeps talking about his IQ being underrated in this fight, and that's what's going to lead to an upset. Beyond him being from Brooklyn and having a great style, he's saying all the right things, and it does look like he's leaving no stone unturned. Although Berlanga seems to have huge potential and an extraordinary skill set, he is still a relatively new fighter who might not have the same ring experience as some like Canelo, who has taken part in countless professional bouts, and this factor combined with the significance of the fight night being on the Mexican Independence Day weekend can cause some severe hindrance in the performance displayed by Berlanga, as he might resort to a more cautious strategy instead of moving in aggressively. Fearing the same thing, Sean stated that Berlanga might end up yielding to the immense pressure, which is something that will ultimately result in his defeat, because Canelo is known as someone who can sense vulnerabilities such as these in his opponents.
I don't know if he's gonna let that shit go like you guys said, because he might you get in there with Canelo, who's so much more compact a puncher than you are. He could punch in between your punches, and that could definitely make you think twice about opening up with your heavy artillery. And the problem for Berlanga is if he tries to elongate the fight by boxing more cautiously, he hasn't shown us really anything off his back foot.
Being on the same podcast as Sean, former professional fighter and 2-time welterweight champion, Sean Porter, also thinks that the outcome of this fight will heavily depend on Edgar's strategy going into it, because if he starts to hesitate in the earlier rounds and starts to give Canelo an opportunity to get more comfortable with his offensive stance, then he will most definitely end up losing in the earlier rounds. Sean stated, I see Edgar Berlanga not throwing that Hail Mary pass. I see him not going for it. I see him trying to be cautious, and upon being cautious, he's going to get stopped. I think this fight's going to end in under 8 rounds. Sean also divulged the attributes that make Canelo Alvarez not only a great fighter of this era, but also someone who is very difficult to beat. According to Sean, in most of his recent fights, Canelo usually has a far more superior in regards to his skill and experience, which seems to give him an edge over whoever he is fighting, no matter the level that they are at.
Canelo Alvarez is today's Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets. He is the old man on the field. He knows his way around the field with his eyes closed. He can throw any punch, hit any route, can audible, do whatever he needs to do, not only to keep himself safe in the ring, but to make sure that he scores touchdowns.
Sean pointed out that alongside all these skills, Canelo is also well known for his ability to adapt in accordance to whom he is up against, which aids him in molding his own strategy. However, Sean also believes that with the stakes being so high, Canelo is not going to take any unnecessary risks that might end up putting him in jeopardy as a loss. In this case, can prove to be very dangerous for the legacy that he wants to leave behind after he retires.
He is the old man on the field. He knows his way around the field with his eyes closed. He can throw any punch, hit any route, can audible, do whatever he needs to do, not only to keep himself safe in the ring, but to make sure that he scores touchdowns.
Rolly Romero, who is a professional fighter and former world champion and someone who is best known for his humorous takes about potential bouts in the boxing industry, sarcastically blasted Edgar about his claims of having a far better ring IQ than Canelo. Sharing his opinion, Rolly stated how this alleged great plan that Edgar seems to boast about in his recent interviews is nothing but a gimmick, as everyone who has a basic understanding of the sport knows that currently no fighter has a better boxing IQ and skill set like Canelo. Rolly also said how even though Berlanga might have crafted some game plan before this fight, it will still fall flat in comparison to the pristine sportsmanship that Canelo will display on the night of September 14th.
So information that he knows about Canelo that Canelo don't know, then we don't know. He has a game plan. He says he has a game plan. We don't know what it is. And it's probably better to not to know what it is. Because, it's just going to destroy from the masterpiece that's going to be on September 14th.
Antonio Tarver, who is a former professional fighter and a boxing commentator, also thinks that the chances of Berlanga winning this fight are very slim, as, despite the continuous claims, Berlanga does not have what it takes to beat a fighter like Canelo. The only possible chance that Antonio gave Berlanga of winning this bout is for Canelo to come in this fight with no passion and no speed, which is the only case that might allow Berlanga to overpower the Mexican powerhouse. Antonio stated, "Unless Canelo slows down tremendously before the fight, I don't see how Berlanga can win it. I don't see him taking those shots and standing up to those shots, and if he can do that, maybe he can last. I don't know." Antonio also questioned the strategy that will employed by Berlanga's team, which might help him in surviving to some distance, stating how so far from the sparring sessions and fights he has observed Berlanga partaking in, he seems to be deficient in that particular attribute. Antonio added, "What is Berlanga going to shoot at Canelo that's really going to unnerve him? I don't see it, bro. I don't see it, but I've been wrong before, and I hope Berlanga will put on the best show he could. I hope he performs at his best, but I just don't think it'll be enough to dethrone Canelo." So in the end, what do you guys think about the back and forth between these two fighters before their eventful fight? Do you think that the comments made by Canelo about Berlanga are validated? Or do you think that the Mexican fighter might be undermining his opponents, which will eventually lead to a shocking upset? Make sure to tell us about your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to our channel.